Welcome viewers, YouTube channel Lex Consilium Foundation. I'm Major General Neelendra Kumar here in the playlist Inse Miliye in conversation with one of India's most gallant air warriors, experienced Air Marshal Raghunath Nambiar, who's he was the OC&C of Eastern Air Command and then later Western Air Command. Raghu, now beyond Kargil and apart from Kargil, I would indicate that when I was going through your profile as is available on internet, it showed that you had a long tenure of about 3 years as India's Defence Attache in Israel. What would you count as a major achievement of India-Israel cooperation in the defense sector at that time, or as a result of your efforts put in at that time?
My tenure in Israel started with a bang.
Yes.
It was 2006 June when I reached Israel,
Yes.
and within a month the Hezbollah war started. As you are well aware, it was quite a serious war in the sense that the Israelis were really put under pressure, primarily because the Hezbollahs were fighting a very irregular war with anti-tank weapons against the tanks which the Israelis were putting forth and trying to push into the southern Lebanon.
Right.
The battle went on and off. The Hezbollah's method of working was to fire rockets into Israel, and the Israelis were out to capture terrain and to establish a wall along the Litani River to prevent the Hezbollah operating south of it, and thus giving a sort of a buffer to Israel. It was inconclusive, but I think the Israelis learned their lessons. They realized that there was a requirement to equip the tank with anti-tank warfare capability to prevent the tanks being made into sitting ducks in front of a concourse or a Milan or any one of these anti-tank weapon systems which had come of age.
Right.
The vulnerability of the tank was clearly exposed, especially to tandem warheads, which made sure that even the best of armament protection was ineffective against a well-entrenched anti-tank weapon system designed to kill you. The tenure in Israel was extremely productive. We have a number of major programs running with Israel at that stage. Prime among them was the AVAX. You will recollect we had modified 3 IL-76 aircraft with huge Israeli domes on top,
Right.
and these became the AVAX of the Indian Air Force and were our eye in the sky for all the air operations since. It was not available during Kargil time, but subsequently during Balakot and even in the Ops Endur.
Yes.
Our eye in the sky was the IL-76 AVAX as well as the Netra, which was developed by our own DRDO. That was one major project. Another major project was what is called the MR-SAM, which at that point in time was called the LR-SAM for the Navy, and subsequently became the same missile became the MR-SAM. The land version of it became the MR-SAM for the Indian Air Force. For both these programs, large teams were set up of Indian scientists and Indian service officers who used to operate from Israel for long tenures of up to 48 months or more. And my responsibility as the Defence Attache was to provide them administrative support as well as monitor what they were all up to and provide service headquarters and the system as to what was happening and give them a holistic view on progress and failures which were taking place in the development program. It was a very interesting tenure. And I must tell you, one of the weapon systems which were at that point in time looked at and subsequently inducted was the UAV called the HEROP.
Okay.
I'm talking of 2007, 2008.
Yes.
The HEROP, which is a system which worked very well in the Ops Endur, was at that point in time tested out, trialed out, and finally selected for procurement. Today, the HEROP is being made in India and is being manufactured here.
Okay.
And is a part of the inventory of not only the Indian Air Force, I believe even the Army and probably the Navy will also be looking at it very closely. Another interesting weapon system, again, when I was the Defence Attache there in Israel for 3 years, was the Spice 2000, which was inducted on the Mirage 2000. It went through a process of selection first.
Right.
There were options available. And after that, it was sort of modified and put onto the Mirage 2000. Again, these date back to 2008, 2009, when they were first introduced, and which were the first time that we had a look at it. And I must tell you that the weapon itself played a very important role during Balakot, where they were put to very effective use, as well as subsequently in Ops Sindoor, where these weapons were again used, I believe.
If I were to ask you to flag one quality or characteristic, or I should say, a positive trait of Israel Air Force, what comes to your mind?
I think they are firstly very focused on what they do. They do
Okay.
not believe in what we in the armed forces call Shusha Giri,
Right.
the Geru Chuna effort. They believe in simplicity. They believe in simple uniforms. They believe in a culture where you're respected not because of your rank, but because of your brains. And I think that differentiates us from them. We believe more in seniority. We believe more in a lot of formality. We believe more in things which to the Israeli doesn't matter at all. They have a very short tenure in their armed forces. Most of the soldiers there are for a fixed tenure of 3 years.
Right.
They come in as conscripts, they serve 6 months in training, and then another 2.5 years in the field, be it in the infantry or in the armor or in any other field. They just spend these 3 years and then they go into civilian life.
Right.
They join in at the age of about 18 and 19. And by the age of 21, 22, they are out into the civil field and now working in a civil organization, which probably may be making the same weapon that they would use later if they were to, if their children were to fight the war. I mean, this becomes some sort of a cycle in which a soldier gets acquainted with a weapon system at a very young age, does his field service, gets into the education system, qualifies as an engineer or as a technician, joins an industry where he now develops or improves upon the weapon system which he has himself used, and then gets these weapon system qualified or bettered or improved,
Right.
to be put to use by his children or his brother, a younger brother or his younger sister, whoever that be.
Yes.
So this is a sort of a process in which
Right.
I think there is an iterative methodology of improving things with knowledge come right from the field itself, where you are the first person, you've seen that weapon, you've seen its pitfalls, you've seen
Familiarity. Yes.
familiarity breeds what I would believe total knowledge,
Right.
and gets you to a situation where things get improved better and better and better.
But they are also recalled for some reservist training or something periodically.
That's right. Roughly about 4 weeks in a year, they are
Yes.
called back to their old units.
So they have
go
that
through,
liability.
they have this liability, they have a refresher training.
Okay.
So what it effectively means is that you have a large volume of people who have the ability to hold a gun,
Right.
be it a man or a woman. They have the ability to, hold a gun and stand the guard. A large
They just
volume of
require a little orientation, reorientation, that's all.
absolutely, and they're not paid at all.
Okay.
These 3 years of service which they have served is barely good enough to get you a cigarette a day. That is the sort of pay and allowance which they provided. They're given uniform, they're
Okay.
given food, clothing, and that's it. They even have to get money from their parents to charge their SIM cards so that they can talk to them. Sort of salaries, and it's not a salary, actually, it's a stipend, so to speak. And they collect this stipend over the years, and finally, when they finish these 3 years of service, all this money is given to them. And this is what they use to travel the world. They come to India, they come to Goa, they go to Rishikesh, they go to so many other places, they go to Bangkok, they sort of let their hair loose.
They
and sort of-
enrich their lives. Yes. Thank you very much. And viewers, stay with us. This conversation playlist, In Conversation with Air Marshal Raghunath Nambiar, shall continue.